All right, ready to dive in. Today we're looking at something that might seem a little uh, basic at first.
Oh, I bet you're talking about the 100 most common words.
Yep, the 100 most frequently used words in English. And get this,
They make up, what, like 80% of everything we say every day?
80%. Can you believe that?
It's incredible, isn't it? These simple words, these building blocks.
They're more than just words, right?
Exactly. They shape how we think, how we see the world.
So where do we even start with something this fundamental? I mean, it's the core of English.
Well, we've got 5 categories to explore. Greetings and polite expressions, verbs, nouns, descriptive words, and those little connectors and fillers.
Sounds like a plan. Let's jump right in with greetings. Hello, for example. What makes it such a universal opener?
It's more than just a greeting. Hello is a signal, you know? It shows you're ready to connect.
Like an invitation.
Exactly.
And then you have goodbye. It signals the end. But the way you say it.
Oh, absolutely. A quick bye versus a long farewell can change the whole mood.
Totally. And even thank you. You can say it sincerely, politely, or even sarcastically.
All with just those 2 words. It's fascinating how tone and context play such a big role, even with a simple, excuse me, right?
Excuse me is so versatile. Interrupting, apologizing, even disagreeing.
It's like a Swiss Army knife of phrases.
Oh, yeah. So it's not just about information, but navigating social situations.
Right, and those little niceties that keep things smooth. It's like they're little tools.
For building relationships.
And even showing power dynamics. Think about please. It changes a demand.
Into a request.
Acknowledges the other person.
Okay, so we've tackled the social side. Now, I'm ready for some action. What about these common verbs? I'm looking at this list, and wow, it's full of them.
Be, have, do, say, go, get, make, know, think, see. Wow, that's a lot.
Right. So much action packed into just 10 words.
Well, be, have, and do, they're often helpers. They prop up other verbs, you know, like I am running versus I have run.
Changing the tense with tiny words.
Exactly. And then there's get. Talk about a multitasker.
Get is like the ultimate utility player in English. Obtain, understand, become, even arrive.
Plus all those idioms like get the hang of it or get along with. So many possibilities.
It's like a chameleon, always adapting.
And then there's make. Implies creation, transformation.
Making a cake, but also making someone laugh or making me do it. Wow.
One word. So many shades of meaning.
It's incredible how much context matters for understanding.
You said it. And it highlights the need to really pay attention to the subtle ways we use them.
They're more complex than they appear.
Absolutely.
Okay, let's move on to everyday nouns. Time, person, day, thing, way, work, life, world, home, friend. These are big ones.
They are. They represent, well, almost everything, right? And they can be tricky, too. Take thing, for instance.
I use thing all the time when I can't think of a better word.
We all do. But it's interesting how it works, how we understand what it means, even though
it's so vague.
it lets us talk about, well, almost anything, from objects to ideas.
Okay, what about way? What's your take on that one?
Way is about direction, method, manner. Think of it as a path, you know, through life's complexities.
I like that. A path. It can be physical, like finding your way home.
Or more abstract, like the way to solve a problem.
And it's amazing how these words evolve over time. Like friend. It used to be so formal, but now...
Now it covers all sorts of relationships. Casual, lifelong, everything in between.
Language is always changing.
Reflecting our values, our culture. Speaking of which, how about work and life?
2 massive parts of being human.
Yeah.
And the concept of work has changed so much, right?
Oh, absolutely. It used to be mostly about manual labor.
But now it's so much broader. Intellectual pursuits, creativity, all kinds of things fall under work.
And life itself, it's not just about being alive, but about the things that give it meaning.
Relationships, experiences, values.
It's exactly these everyday nouns. They're not just labels. They're concepts we wrestle with.
Concepts that evolve as we do.
Right. You know, I'm starting to see these simple words in a whole new light.
Me too. It's like they're tiny glimpses into how we think, how we experience the world.
And we've only just scratched the surface.
I know. I'm ready for more.
Me too. Welcome back. Ready for more of these 100 words?
You bet. It's amazing how much depth we've found already, even though these words seem so, well, ordinary.
Right. It shows how even the most basic parts of language can have these hidden layers.
Okay, we were talking about those everyday nouns like work and life and how they reflect, our values and experiences.
Absolutely.
But now I'm ready to add some color to the mix. Let's talk about those descriptive words.
Perfect timing. These adjectives and adverbs, they're like spices. They give language its flavor.
Speaking of flavor, let's start with good and bad. Such simple judgments, but their meaning, it changes all the time depending on what we're talking about.
Totally. A good book is different from a good friend.
Right. It's all relative to what you're describing.
Shaped by our own views, by our culture, too. What's good music to me might be noise to you.
Uh-huh. Yeah. And then there's big and small. Those seem pretty simple, but even they can have these surprising meanings.
Of course. Size is relative, right? A big house in one place might be average in another.
And a small business can have a huge impact.
Exactly. It's all about context.
Okay, this is blowing my mind. It makes you realize how much thought goes into choosing the right words, even simple ones like new and old.
Those two are fascinating. New often has a sense of excitement, possibility,
Looking to the future,
while old can be nostalgic, maybe even a little sad.
connecting us to the past.
Exactly, like a new car versus an old photo.
And speaking of connections, what about emotions like happy and sad? Those words hit us right in the feels.
They do. Happy, sad. They're core human emotions, just hearing those words.
They can make you smile or bring a tear to your eye.
Language has this amazing power to affect us physically.
It really does. And how about fast and slow?
Yeah,
Feels like those are all about pace and energy.
absolutely. Fast can be speed, but also quick thinking, a rapid pace of events. And slow, well, it can be deliberate, calm.
Or maybe even a little clueless.
Right. So much packed into those two little words.
Fast, all about action, while slow is more thoughtful.
And that brings us to our last category, connectors and fillers. Now, you might think these are just the little words that, well, fill the gaps.
I have to admit, I kind of thought that.
But they actually play this huge role in shaping how we communicate.
Really? Tell me more. Why are they so important?
Well, think about connectors like and, but, or. They tie our ideas together, create flow.
They're like bridges between thoughts.
Exactly. And then there are fillers like, well, like, we use them all the time, but why?
I'm guilty of using those a lot. Especially, it's like I'm checking in with the listener.
You are. And it creates a sense of connection, like you're saying, we're on the same page, right?
It's almost like an invitation to share the same thought.
It is. But we have to be careful because too many fillers, well, they can make you sound unsure or unclear.
Like you're searching for the right word.
Exactly. It's all about balance.
So we've covered all 5 categories. That's a lot of word power.
We have. And the biggest takeaway, I think, is that even though these words might seem basic, they're the bedrock of how we communicate.
It's like we've been taking them for granted, not realizing how essential they are.
Right. They're the tools we use to express ourselves, to connect, to understand the world around us.
And even though these 100 words have been around for ages, they're not frozen in time, are they?
No way. Language is constantly changing, meanings shift, new words pop up, and we're always adapting how we use language to reflect, our ever-changing world.
So they're dynamic, just like language itself.
Exactly. And that's what makes it so fascinating. It's alive, it breathes, and it's a reflection of, well, everything, really. Our history, our culture, our shared humanity.
Wow, that's beautifully put. So, what's next in our deep dive? Welcome back for the final part of our deep dive. It's been eye-opening exploring these 100 words.
I know, right? You start to realize they're not just words, they're powerful tools.
Exactly. And we've talked about each category, how those words work on their own, but now I'm thinking about how they all fit together. It's like we've looked at all the ingredients.
Right, the individual parts.
But how do they make the cake? What's the secret sauce that makes them work together to create meaning?
Well, the secret ingredient, if you will, is context. It's everything, really. The same word can mean completely different things depending on how it's used, who's saying it, where it's being said.
Can you give me an example, something concrete?
Sure, think about run. You can run a marathon,
Physical action.
but you can also run a program on a computer.
Different kind of action?
And then there's running a business or running for office. The word run, it takes on all these different meanings.
So it's not just the word itself, but how it's used, like in relation to everything else around it, like a puzzle piece.
That's a great way to put it. And the more pieces you have, the more complex the picture.
And that's why big vocabulary is so important, right?
Absolutely. It gives you more pieces to work with. You can communicate more effectively, express yourself more clearly.
Create, connect, the whole 9 yards.
Exactly. It's like having, a bigger toolbox.
And I'm realizing language itself is kind of like a superpower. You can use it to inform, to persuade,
To entertain, to inspire.
all with these these building blocks of meaning.
And it's not just about the words, but the intention behind them. The same words can build someone up or tear them down.
It all depends on how we use them.
On our choices, yeah.
Yeah.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, what I really want to leave people with is this. Pay attention to language, appreciate its power, use it wisely and creatively.
Don't take it for granted, right?
Right. Explore those nuances, those little hidden depths, and use them to express yourself, in a way that's true to who you are.
That's a great takeaway. It feels like even though we've finished exploring these 100 words, it's just the beginning.
It is. Language is this vast, amazing thing, and there's always more to discover.
So keep asking questions, keep playing with words.
And keep using that superpower to make your mark on the world.
Well said. And on that note, we'll say goodbye for now. But this conversation, it's not over. The power of language, it's something to keep thinking about, keep exploring.
Absolutely. It's a journey, not a destination.